I'm Heather from booktubes. Today is my January wrap-up. I've read 26 books. I have DNF'd 8 of them. And so I'm going to talk about 18. Very first one is Magic Binds, which is Kate Daniels #9 by Ilona Andrews. I give this 5 stars, obviously. I give all the Kate Daniels 5 stars. Don't speak to me. This one is very interesting. There's a lot of big developments with not only their family but also the plot and the battle between them and this other character, and things are escalating at a rapid rate. So loved it. Kate Daniels is an urban fantasy romance series with a mercenary and the Beast Lord of the Shifters. And the mercenary is not all that she may appear, but she's also not the chosen one or the long lost fae heir or anything like that. So it avoids those stereotype cliche things. Then I read The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I gave this 5 stars. I did really enjoy it. I can definitely see how other people wouldn't enjoy it, but I enjoyed it. You do get it all from the POV of the main character, so a lot of the side characters don't seem super fleshed out. There is one sex scene at like the 80% mark. It's fine. It's nothing crazy. So people recommending this as a steamy book. I personally don't agree with that. It's not. But it is Kylo Ren, Rey fan fiction, and there is also sexual misconduct in the workplace that does get resolved in kind of a satisfying way, but you do have to go through it. There's also just a lot of random crap. But basically he's the professor that everybody hates, and she kisses him to convince her friend that they are dating so that her friend will date her ex because she has no interest and they're clearly meant for each other. And that's that. It's fake dating in academia. Oh, and the inner monologue could be annoying, but it didn't annoy me. The main character is demisexual. I felt like the third act breakup was a little bit unnecessary, but he is a very sweet grump. So even though he's grumpy, he's literally so nice to her. Then I read The Girl in the Mist by Kristen Ashley. I gave this 5 stars. This was a romantic thriller, which I found to be very similar to her romantic suspense, but I would say it is slightly changed up, the pacing and things. I would almost say that this is like a dark romance gone wrong, but it was something. I really liked it. You have a famous author who was a celebrity before she was an author, and she has a stalker and goes to this small town. She buys this house. Her neighbor is an FBI profiler, and they have a romance. They both have adult children. His youngest is a teen, so that's the youngest of the kids, and you have their romance. The stalker storyline does not go the whole way through the book. That gets resolved pretty quickly. But then there's also a serial killer in the town. Little girls are being killed. So obviously that is a trigger content warning. So yeah, there's content warnings for the murder of children, for stalking, for sex scandal, revenge porn, things like that. Then I read Secrets We Hunt, which is One Night #2 by Dana Isley. I was really looking forward to this, and it did not live up to my expectations. I gave it 3 stars. It was fine, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. There is a content warning for rape. I did feel like the rape was really used as a plot device. It's the conflict. He doesn't know, and obviously that's what happened, and you know, I didn't like how it was done. Their childhood friends, second chance, and it's mostly sex because it's a novella. And you are at the wedding of the couple from the first book, which I did enjoy that. Then I read Extra Extra by Chris Stevens. I gave this 2 stars. This is a male author that I saw on Twitter, and I wanted to pick him up and give it a try. His books were in KU. It was a novella, so I did finish the whole thing. It's black love, and he's running a newspaper, and she is trying to escape an abusive ex, and is his new neighbor. The ex is stalking her, and also the reporter, which is not a reporter because he like owns the newspaper, is reveals a big sex scandal of a celebrity. I didn't really enjoy the writing, and yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't think it was very good. Then I read Hitting the Wall, which is Stonecut County #1 by Cate Wells. 5 stars. Loved it so much. Was sweating at the beginning of this book. I was like so stressed out in chapter 1. I was like, oh my god, what is she gonna do to me? But I loved it. So this is just very, very interesting. You have the golden boy sheriff's deputy who belongs to the rich family in town and really believes that he's doing the right thing, believes that he's a good guy, believes that the people around him are good people, and that everyone has the same welcoming experience that he does. He's drunk at a bonfire. He's told that she is somebody's cousin who does hair. He has sex with her and doesn't come back. He was going to come back, but he was trying to help people get out of the ditch and stuff. And she was actually underage, which he didn't know that. I'm not gonna excuse it, but he didn't know. She was underage. He gets her pregnant because the condom broke. And when rumors go around that she's pregnant by him, his family comes and runs her out of town, which again, he doesn't know about. So she leaves as a teen mother. Her mom is a drug addict and not a good support system, but she takes care of her daughter. Her daughter is autistic and things are just, they're not good. And so she decides to go back to Stonecut County to live in the trailer for cheaper, get a better job, and save up enough to be able to help her daughter the way that she wants to. And he sees them walking alongside the road, and he's never forgotten her, and their daughter looks just like his sister, and so things escalate. And it was very, very interesting because you are watching somebody realize that the people that are closest to them are not necessarily good people, and that their privilege is what has kind of influenced their whole worldview. And just, he can't believe what's happened here. And it's just, it's a lot. And also the beginning of the book, just there's endangerment of a child, not their child, a different child. And that was hard to read, but that does turn out okay. I'm just gonna spoil that for you right now. It was so good. So you have secret baby and crooked cops, you have corruption, you have SA touched on, not for the main character. Wow, it was just so interesting. I feel like if you told me about this book, I would be like, no thanks. And it's so good. It's so good. I just really enjoyed it. I really loved reading about their daughter. She felt like a real kid to me, and I really enjoyed this single parent, even though it's the two parents of the child romance. I just like adored it. Then I read TheEnforcer, which is the family #2 by Katrina Jackson. I gave this 5 stars. This is a mafia romance. This one is the 3rd book. So the first one, though, is like a prequel novella. So this is the 3rd member of the same family to go to Italy, but hers is not a random encounter with the mafia guys. She's with the character from the 1st book, looking for the character of the 2nd book, and that's how they run into them. And she ends up dating the Enforcer. They are both bigger characters, especially the guy. He's bigger with a belly. Love that. Neither one of them wants kids. They plan on never having children. She was in a polyamorous relationship that broke up right before she went. I can't tell you how much I'm enjoying this. If you want a mafia series that is lighter, doesn't have as much triggers, or you don't have to worry about the characters so much, this is perfect. Like, pick it up. It's so good. Yeah, I love this. Also, he's submissive and likes pain. And I just really liked that she didn't try to pull off a 3rd random encounter. She made it make sense, and I loved that. After that, I read Dolci, which is the family 2.5 by Katrina Jackson. I gave this 3 stars. This follows the couple from the 2nd book, and it's just Italian food and sex. That's what it is. There's no plot development. Don't expect that. It basically follows them during the events of the Enforcer. So it's not them together very much. It's literally just sex and Italian food. That's it. And it was great. Oh, and in this one there was fisting, and I don't know how I feel about that. To be perfectly honest with you, I was like, oh, I don't know. That doesn't really sound like it would feel very good. Then I read Magic Stars, which is Kate Daniels' 8.5 by Ilona Andrews. This is, of course, a reread for me. 5 stars. This is Derek and Julie. There are evil mermaids and a fallen star. It's a novella. I really enjoy these characters. I'm looking forward to finally reading the spin-off series with them, even though there's only 1 book in it so far. It doesn't matter. Looking forward to it. Enjoyed it. Then I read Anne of Avonlea, which is Anne of Green Gables #2 by Montgomery. I gave this 4 stars, although this is a reread for me from my teen years. It follows Anne Shirley, who is an orphan. She was adopted by an older brother-sister duo who run a farm. She has red hair. You might have seen her. This one, she's 16. She's teaching the school there in Avonlea, and also there are twins that I forgot completely about. And you get introduced to a lot of new characters. I forgot about the little romance subplot for some side characters that I really enjoyed. And at the end of this book, you kind of get Anne noticing Gilbert as more than a friend. Looking forward to the next book. I plan on basically reading a book a month until I finish my reread of the series. And this is an older book. There are definitely prejudices in it. This one, you get prejudice against the French. Those things do exist, and the language is also outdated, although you're not going to deal with a lot of active racism or anything, just kind of casual things thrown in there. Then I read The 100,000 Kingdoms, which is Inheritance Trilogy #1 by N.K. Jemisin. 5 stars. Loved this book. I definitely recommend starting with this one if you haven't read N.K. Jemisin before. It was much easier to get through than the 5th season was. As well as a young woman who her family has been disowned, and now she's being brought back to the capital of the world to compete for the heir of the ruling family to become the next ruler. And she knows, like, this is not legit, but she's trying to survive. And she has a romance with the god, the fallen god, who is the Lord of Night. And it was so good. Definitely, there are some heavy things in here. It is adult fantasy, and it's definitely not focused on the romance or anything like that. However, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed all of the characters. Her study of human nature is so interesting to me, and I love her storytelling. I feel like she's a genius. I really enjoyed this one. I would say it's my favorite so far. Then I reread Feed, which is Hunger Duet #1 by Vita Weiss. I gave this 5 stars. I was in the mood for some smutty romance. Couldn't find anything that I wanted. Reread a favorite. The quote that I posted from this is, "I effing hate you," and then he says, "You don't come like you do," and it's just so good. It's hate effing. It is like she hates him and he makes her beg for it, and it's so good. It's so good. He's a fae, she's a succubus. You should read it. Then I read Against a Wall, which is Stonecut County #2 by Kate C. Wells. I gave this 5 stars. This book made me so happy. I read the whole thing on release day. This is the brother of the love interest of the first book, and he is her high school bully. Now, you shouldn't like him. You shouldn't like him. He's not the most considerate. He's kind of dumb. He's just... And you love him. You love him. I don't know how she did it. I don't know how she did it, but it worked so well. This made me so happy. You have a main character who the whole town kind of hates because she put her name on an article revealing corruption in the police department, even though she obviously didn't write it. It was her dad, and people have just kind of been the worst. And he's super popular, and then something happens and he finally gets her in his arms and suggests fake dating to help keep her safe, because he's the golden boy. He's the town's chosen son, right, from the rich family. And so if he's with her, nobody will mess with her. It's so good. He was so clueless sometimes. I'm telling you, you shouldn't like him. I liked him so much. I liked both of them so much. Just so good. So good. If you like small town romances or like bully romances or anything, I love it. Again, this is just, if you recommended it to me, I would be like, no, I'm telling you. I loved it. Like, highlight of the month, loved it. Then I have How Come I'm Always Luigi, a Foxtrot collection by Bill Amend. This was also a reread. I read this as a teenager. I gave it 4 stars. It's just comics. It's a long-running comic that ran in my Sunday newspaper. That's how I originally read it. It's about a family. There's a teen boy, a teen girl, and then a younger boy. The younger boy is a genius. And that's it. Then I have Bite Marks, which is the Lichens number 5 by Jenica Snow. I gave this 2 stars. So this is just something that is very interesting to me. I have tried to read Jenica Snow a couple different times and I've always DNF'd because her synopsis, her tropes and stuff is like my catnip. Like it always sounds like the perfect book for me. And I just don't enjoy her writing style. I don't like it. So I did actually read this whole one just because I was in the mood, but it's very repetitive, very long. There's a lot of contradictions, but this is the most powerful American vampire and his human mate. And he is instantly drawn to her, obviously, and she's drawn to him, but she doesn't know why. He obviously knows why. They are both virgins, have never been able to be with anybody else. It's the mate connection. And he's a little bit kinky, but honestly it was just kind of the same as like other vampire stuff. It wasn't anything special. And then at the end you do see like the torture of another female that's going to be a main character in another book, and I didn't like that. Then I read Corrupt Temptation, which is Savage Kings of St. Ivy by Melinda Terranova. I gave this 3 stars. Objectively, this should be a 2-star book. But I couldn't stop reading it. I read it till midnight, till it was over, and then I was like, should I start the second book? It's only midnight, which is not me. I don't do that. But I was just like, oh, I really like this. The only reason I haven't started the second book is because it ends on a cliffhanger, and the 3rd book's not out. But it's not good. It's not good. So this is a reverse harem high school bully romance. It's also her new stepbrother is her teacher and is kind of the main love interest, with 3 other guys are kind of like side love interest, but she doesn't do anything with like 2 of them. It's interesting. This book reads like you're skimming a book and skipping all the unimportant parts, but the author skipped them. She didn't include them. It was just like so many things without any context, and it was just like, all right. There's definitely not as much conversations or build up as I like. I like when you're having all these conversations and that's the angst, that's the build up, that's the draw, is what you're saying to each other. And that wasn't really here, but like I said, like I couldn't stop reading it. And big content warnings, like huge content warnings. She was definitely like raped, forced into prostitution for a debt. There's content warnings for cutting on page, bullying, murder, torture, also gang stuff. I don't know where the author's gonna go, to be honest, but it ended on a cliffhanger. Next one ends on a cliffhanger. It was dark, new adult, reverse harem. It's not good, don't read it, but I might read the next book. The next one is The Woman with the Ring, which is Costa Family number 3 by Jessica Gaziella. I gave this 5 stars. I read the first book in the series, not the second book. You can definitely read this one as a standalone. You barely even see any characters from the other books. You don't need any context. It starts off with her being kidnapped by the hero and then forced into a marriage of convenience, or he's going to kill all of her mafia family that is there in the room. So marry him or watch them die, right? Because he's tired of being out of the loop and he wants things to be an even trade. If he has one of theirs, they will do business with him, right? The one thing I did not get about this book is she literally never gets her cell phone back. I'm like, you've been married for months, you love each other, where's the cell phone? I didn't understand that. I don't know if that was just like something that Jessica forgot about, or if she did it on purpose, but I was just like, where is the cell phone? Why doesn't she have a cell phone yet? I don't understand. That was nitpicky though. You get lots of "that's my wife" moments. Don't touch her, that's my wife. Don't harm her, that's my wife. Don't speak to her or look to her, that's my wife, even though they literally haven't even had sex yet. Loved that. I really liked them. I liked all their steamy scenes. There's some really good ones. There's an interesting other women situation where I was like, no, but that got handled not as quickly as it would have if like it was me, and I was like, no, you'll see. But it did get handled, so I appreciate that about the hero, although he should have been on that way sooner, just saying. There's obviously violence. There's a ride my face scene. It's good stuff. I recommend if you want mafia marriage of convenience. It hit all the things that I was looking for. I was in such a mood for marriage of convenience, and I wanted "that's my wife," and I got it. And then lastly, I have Kingston, which is by M. Monique. I gave this 3 stars. This one was like a blend almost of romance and urban or street lit. It didn't have the pacing of a normal romance. You also got some POVs of side characters that weren't part of the couple. You got dual POVs of the couple, and then a couple insert POVs of other people. And there's a huge content warning. The grandmother in this book dies on page. I cried. I was like, don't do this to me. Why are you doing this to me? It was rough. Other content warnings are, besides the death of the grandmother, are sexual assault, drugs, violence, manipulative father, unwanted pregnancies for 2 different characters, intimidation of a pregnant woman that I really did not like. A character goes to his baby mama's house basically and intimidates her and punches the wall right next to her head, and I did not like that. You have a brother who constantly creates problems, and then the love interest constantly enables him and continues enabling him right until the very end of the book. I'm not saying like send him to prison, but you're very much enabling. So I didn't really like that. Also, this had a lot of grammatical errors, or it needed edited. I'm not talking about the AAV or anything like that. I'm talking about like there'd be a sentence and the last word would be missing, or the wrong word would be used, where like spell check wouldn't get it because that is a word, but it's not the correct word, right? So there were things like that it was pretty prevalent. It wasn't just like 1 or 2 instances. There was also a very long breakup in this book. All that being said, I did actually really enjoy the writing. I enjoyed the characters. I did not like the sex scenes. Honestly, I didn't like the language used. It just didn't work for me to describe the sexy times. Also, she was having an orgasm every other lick, every other thrust, and I was like, that's not how that works. And also, she was a virgin. Now, she was a 23-year-old virgin. There is nothing wrong with not having a serious relationship in your teens or early 20s. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't let anybody make you feel like you are behind because you're 19 and haven't been kissed yet. Don't let anybody do that to you. It's perfectly normal. Teens are kind of a bit young for most things, in my opinion. But, so don't let anybody, act like that's a problem. But she was a virgin and he never used protection. She never asked him for protection. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But that was that. And he also was buying her diamonds like the first date. So I did like the writing, I did like the characters, but it was quite the blend of things I liked and didn't like. So I settled on 3. And that's it. That's all the books that I read in February. Let me know if you read any of these or went to. Let me know if you had any books that you really loved in February and think that I would also love. I'm always looking for book recommendations. So thanks so much for watching. Bye.